y'all coming today for our presentation on a diversity plan. We've got teachers, we've got principal, community stakeholders, and parents in the room. The first thing we're going to talk about is students and poverty issues. The definition of poverty is the extent to which an individual does without resources. The different resources that can be, obviously financial, everybody thinks about financial poverty. You can come from emotional poverty, mental poverty, spiritual poverty, physical poverty, lack of support systems, don't really have good relationships or role models, or knowledge of hidden rules that go with each class system. At North Jackson High School, the effects of poverty for our school are that we've got an achievement gap. It's shrinking, but we've got an achievement gap between students who are not from poverty and students who are. And then a lot of times you see student behavior reflect the hidden rules of the poverty class that they come from. Those hidden rules will be the language they use. It's referred to as casual register. They don't really understand formal register. It tends to be more slang, things like that. The things that kind of motivate people from the poverty class are survival. Does somebody like me or not in their relationships? And can I be entertaining? I think all of us have been in the classroom have seen, a lot of times kids are valued more for their personality than anything else. You tend to maybe get a class clown or something like that sometimes, things like that. Money, they view money, people from poverty view money as something to be used and spent, not as something to be saved, or not as something to look forward to the future with. Education is valued, but it's revered more as something as abstract and not as reality. And okay, go ahead. You can go ahead and click all one. In the classroom, you'll tend to see maybe a kid get mad and quit if they don't like the teacher, as opposed, because they value that relationship and they feel like if the teacher don't like them, it's not gonna benefit them very much. They prefer to settle issues with verbal or physical assaults, either by name calling, bullying, or fighting. Again, using casual register, which is survival language, and really will always just kind of say what's on their mind, as opposed to maybe holding back and understanding that that's not appropriate for that situation. Anybody's been in the classroom, what have y'all seen in regards to those things?
Most of those are pretty well on track. A lot of times they do get mad and quit, especially if they can't distinguish between the teacher caring for them and instructing them and correcting them, and the teacher not caring for them and instructing them and correcting them. They think if they get in trouble that the teacher doesn't like them. They can't make that connection with the teacher correcting them because they care for them. They want them to do right. They think it is punishment.
They view it as an attack almost.
Yeah, it's like
almost on themselves.
Mm-hmm. But the language is a big deal too, because that seems to be the lower poverty level that people are, the less language or the less. I can't think the word I'm trying to say.
Their vocabulary.
Thank you. Their vocabulary is not very strong, so they use the same words over and over again. And a lot of the time, it's inappropriate words that they use because that's what they know.
And they don't understand it because that's what they know. Yeah. And a lot of what we've talked about in this course is really kind of the teacher's job of introducing kids from poverty to almost the language of the middle class and how to act appropriately. All right. And also dislike authority on there as well. And laugh. Sometimes they laugh when they're disciplined. I've had that happen before. Actions and measures that we can take. We've got to identify diversity and poverty. And our job, we've got to kind of understand where they're coming from. You know, we got to understand they don't necessarily have the background, the skills, and the tools needed sometimes to control their behavior. We think they ought to because we've been around people that know how to. Sometimes they don't have that to call back on. Research their background, collaborate with colleagues, and make phone calls. Be professional and don't take the student's behavior personally, because most of us live in the middle class. These students sometimes don't, and they're behaving the way that they have to act in their society to survive. Okay. Expose them to the middle class and beyond. Like I said earlier, a lot of times the only way a kid has out is by what we give them, and it's important for us to understand that we gotta take advantage and expose them to what it's like to be middle class or upper class. So give them the tools to escape, so they know that they, because if they don't have those tools, they can't escape. Okay. Some other things we can do, we can allow physical activity. A lot of times that's important. Make vocabulary part of every lesson, because it's obviously something that's got to grow. Make connections with students to improve effort. They're going to work harder if they like you. Try to make it happen. It ain't always going to happen, but it's something you can work on, and it'll make working with them in the future easier if you develop that relationship early on, and they see that you care about them. A lot of times they'll come back to that. Okay. Affirm and reinforce rather than comfort and pity or anger. Focus on and develop core skills. Don't control, but offer choices and encourage responsibility. I think a lot of times I'm a bad control freak sometimes on things. I want things done just the way I want them done, and a lot of times, even if it's maybe a little bit different the way I do it, you may get a lot better cooperation if you give somebody else responsibility to do it. And here are our references. So, any other just general comments on anything anybody saw in the presentation? Just to,
I think the back to that one slide where it's talking about exposure to middle class. I think it's important for teachers, principals, and all people involved with kids of poverty level, and not only expose them to the middle class, but teach them how to get out of poverty.
right.
I think it's important for us to show them what things are necessary for them to do to get out of that, to get to the middle class and beyond.
Right, because they don't have that at home.
Well, if you don't know how to get there, everybody wants to get there.
Right.
Even middle class wants to be in the upper class.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't know how to get there, we're never told how to get there. It's important. I mean, we're never going to get there. If you don't know how to put a puzzle together, you ain't never going to get it done.
Right.
So it's kind of like putting a puzzle together. If you don't know what pieces have to fit together to get you above that poverty level, you're never going to get there. Right. I mean, you got to have the pieces to make it work.
Right.
And I think that's part of the teacher's job, is to show this is what you have to do to get out of this poverty.
All right. Well, I appreciate all y'all coming, and I appreciate your input on this presentation. Thanks.